guys, welcome back to the Bullish Money Media channel. As many of you know, I've been on this great, wonderful Steemit experience, this human experiment, and one of the unintended consequences, if you will, or I call it an unintended benefit of the Steemit network, is that it really is a broad human experiment. It's a broad human psychological and as well as sociological experiment. So if you guys ever wondered about, or if you have an interest towards the field of psychology and sociology, Steemit is a wonderful real-time indicator of how people act. Now, primarily, I'm assuming that is more of an American concept, an American psychological indicator, because I think most Steemians are Americans. But as you guys well know, this is a growing, burgeoning international network. So I've had so many comments from all parts of the world. I mean, some of them, they write in their native language, and some of the languages, like Portuguese, I don't know, I don't speak Portuguese, okay? I think I had one in either Arabic or Farsi, I can't really tell. I don't speak any of the Semitic languages, so I don't know. I have no idea. Sometimes the comments that I receive international, I have no idea what they're saying. If you do speak to me in certain languages like Russian, I will be able to understand and respond back in Russian, because we do that whole hacking thing, and I'm just part of that hacking community, and just overriding the American elections. That's what people do, right? That's what people who are Russians or speak Russian, that's all they do. They just hack American elections all day, man. Even when there's not an election going on, they're still hacking it. That's how crazy the Russians are. Anyways, it's a great, wonderful international network, and you can learn so much about human psychology and sociology. And one of the things I believe that you're going to discover is that despite our differences in race and religion and borders, nationality, cultures, whatever, despite all the differences that we have in this world, there are certain core similarities that we share. And I think these are profound similarities, and that these are the similarities that are articulated and emphasized when you take a look at the behavior of the Steemians in general. I think you're going to find a lot of core similarities, a lot of recurring motifs, if you will. And I just find it fascinating. There's one of the topics that I'm particularly fascinated is how people utilize their power once they receive power. For example, we've just had the hard fork, and now people have more power in terms of their voting input, and with the voting input comes increased monetary rewards. And also you have reputation scores. Now people are more incentivized to bump up their reputation scores. My question is, how will the broad Steemian network respond to that increase in power or that increase in wealth? I think many of you realize, personally realize, that some of the intended effects that the Steemit originators were hoping to engender are not prevalent, actually. The Steemit network was supposed to be about everybody sharing and curating and building each other up. In fact, what you see more often than not is, and excuse me for the inappropriate language, but it is sort of like a circle jerk within the whale communities. The whales are circle jerking each other, making thousands of dollars per post, and the minnows basically have to fight for the scraps. And you would assume, and I think the Steemit originators assumed, that if you gave decentralized power to the people, the people meaning just the people, okay? I'm not talking about American people or Russian people, I'm just talking about the people. If you give them power, decentralized power, that they will respond to it in a very positive and productive way. Actually, I think, and I think a lot of you Steemians who have the courage to admit this out front, I don't think it really works out that way. I don't really think it works out that way at all. I think that when you give people more money, they become filled with more avarice. I think that when you give people more power, they become tempted by the power and even corrupted by the power. They don't necessarily, most people don't necessarily use that power for good or productive or beneficial or profitable means, unless it is self-profiting, okay? And I just find it fascinating. I think maybe this is the reason why we have things like the Constitution or the law and certain mandates, because left to our own devices, humanity does not necessarily choose the right path. Now, I'm not talking about individually, okay? Individually, you know, there are whales that go away from this trend of circle jerking each other. And I think that Kevin Wong is a particular member that I personally know, or personally know Kevin Wong to be someone that is a supporter and curating the minnows' work and finding new talent and supporting that new talent. And he's doing it the right way. He is an individual whale that has taken the call himself to bring this network to its original intent, that of a productive network that helps each other, especially the regular Joes build more credibility and have a voice to their hard work. But by far, and largely speaking, the most of the whales on the Steemit network, they seem to be circle jerking each other. Again, Kevin Wong is a distinction among the whales, and I'm sure there are plenty of other people. But again, by and large, you are looking at a situation where people just want to keep that cash flow going, and they're not willing to share the love, so to speak, which is again sort of a contradiction of the original intent of Steemit. Anyways, I just find it fascinating. I'm not pointing fingers, as you guys know. I'm not someone who is vindictive. I'm not trying to spark a vigilantism or anything like that. Okay, I'm not, again, not pointing fingers. I'm not naming names. I'm not calling anybody out. So I hope that you take this in the right way, in a respectful way, because this is just what I'm trying to do, is just bringing out some content to you guys in a respectful manner. And I'm just respectfully saying that this is fascinating, that we think that if we give unmandated, decentralized power to the broad people, that they will react positively. That's not necessarily the case.